Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, I'm at my mom's apartment and we're in the process of packing everything up and moving out because my mom has already gotten a new job and at the house, and don't really need to be over here in San Diego anymore as far as that goes. But although we've been in this apartment for about 4 years, and been in another apartment just for roughly, I think it was maybe like about 9 months, and that was another apartment that was on the other side of town, but it wasn't really as great as this apartment, And I think I made a bad choice as far as, or I think me and Dad made a bad choice as far as on the apartments there, because the other one was okay, but it wasn't really that real great, But this one, I think it seems to be a lot better, And I kind of moved into this apartment right around New Year's Eve of '07, And I've been here maybe about a couple of times, Like another time when I came down here it was like probably about April of '08, and then there was another time I came, which was kind of like the last time I was here, which was probably might have been about 3 years ago, where I was going down here to see Wicked, and then as well as I think that was just basically the only few times I've been here, but there was all this other stuff that kept getting in there, but I think I was just being a little bit too naively optimistic about certain things, when I first came down here, and when it was the start of the whole '08, when I kind of said to myself about how hoping that things with Ricky would have gotten right back on track after so many false starts and so many times of people getting in my way and all that sort of stuff, and then it just didn't turn out the way I was hoping for, and then in a way, I think I had to not be so caught up in all that hope there instead, especially how it was with all the drama that I had in the last year with Drew, and now I'm kind of, as I mentioned on one of my live journal posts, that I have kind of come to that point where it kind of probably doesn't really even matter then, but I think I was at this point, like, right at the end of last year, the start of this year, where it didn't even really matter anymore to me whether if he was coming back or not, because there was always somebody else there, But in a way, I guess that's probably it. So see you guys next time. Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, I'm back from my trip from San Diego, So we just basically moved a part of Mom's stuff back into the house, and then we're gonna come down in about a couple of days and move the rest of the stuff, and then eventually, maybe by next week or so, that all of Mom's stuff will be over here, and then hand over the apartment keys and stuff and all that sort of stuff, which is going to be a little bit strange now for me to adjust right back into having Mom being here at the house, and the whole time, the last time that Mom had been working here in the house, and it was like about 10 years ago, right? And then I have like the whole job in Dallas, and then the whole job over in San Diego, and in a way, it's kind of good to have my mom back now. So, and this way, maybe we can do like more. This way, I can probably do more stuff there, at least during the weekends, or at least, and not just during the weekends, but also maybe sometime during the weekend, depending on what Mom's schedule will be, as far as that goes. But so, anyways, if it gets, as for me, it's like now, I don't know why I kind of tend to feel this sort of way, or maybe this is just like a natural process of when certain things start, certain things end, and then there's like a new chapter or a new sub-chapter of some sort, and then I have this sort of like lamenting period, and then a period of where I'm not lamenting, but actually kind of feeling really good about it, or reflecting on a good reflection on certain things, as well as not lamenting on it. But sometimes it kind of depends on all the different little things, so sometimes it's just I would lament on certain things, or sometimes there would be a good reflection, and I guess for one thing, like the end of high school, that there was kind of a mixed thing when I was like looking back, and that it was, for the one part, it was good that now that I'm finished with high school, but it was also the bad part was the fact that that all of my other friends that weren't in special ed and all that, they were going off to college and going off to whatever college that they were going to, and then here I was like basically stuck at here, as far as that goes. At least that was, I think I just felt a little bit upset over that, because I just wanted to go out and do like the same thing again, like where I would go out and do whatever it is, and then here I couldn't, because of whether it was just the financial reasons to go to college, or simply maybe I just hadn't really proven myself worthy at that time. But I think one of the things was, when I was like younger, I just kind of felt like, well, I just simply just wanted to know what was the right thing that I'm going to do, just to get them off their back, as far as that goes, because that was the whole thing that I was really concerned about. That what would it take for all of them to at least acknowledge that I'm now an adult, or at least somewhat more like an adult, and that the fact that I just burned myself out for that very reasons, But I didn't really want to give my whole self away just for that sort of stuff, if that was the case, and that was kind of the whole reason why I was being a little bit difficult with certain people. But I think looking back at all that, I think I would have at least tried a whole lot more when the whole opportunity had arisen, with certain things, or certain people there. But I think I was just got caught up with whatever it was that was in the way, which the first time around as far as college, and it was that I was just so caught up with adult transition being in my way that they weren't helping me achieve my educational and as well as career goals. That they just simply had other ideas where I should go on that, and that's basically what I would say so far, but I think it was just mainly because they just didn't know how to facilitate it. And the fact that they were just simply used to the kids that are in the whole program that needed a whole lot more help than I did. And that the best way that they would just simply do it is just to at least get them in a more menial type job there, And there was some story that Dad was telling one of the guys at the adult transition and me. Well, he was working at Kia. That it was like maybe like once a week or once every 2 weeks there would be these kids who were just maybe like in their 20s, but they were all like they were all had like Down syndrome and all the other one, all of what I call like the low enders, and they would come in and carry the papers, and that was just basically it. They would just carry the papers out of the whatchamacallit, out of the office and into the recycler, and that was it. And that was all they did. And there was just a job that it actually took at the adult transition where it just had one task, and where all we did was just stacked all the merchandise, and I hated it. I hated it because it was just one of the things that was all I did. And plus, I was like the only one that actually talked normally. Everybody else was like had some form of speech impediment and all this sort of stuff, and all this sort of things, And even though I hate having to rag on about certain people like that, but I think I just got mainly upset with them, and because they were lumping me together with all the kids that needed more help than I did. I mean, I had talked normally, I think more normally and all that sort of stuff, and that I'm almost normal. I just wish people would have made more accommodations for me. So, anyway, the other job that I had was at the library, and I actually liked the library was because I got to be alone and all that sort of stuff, and I get to put the books on the shelf, and then do all this other stuff there, But I think my only gripe is that I just wish they didn't take me out of the library in the first place, and would just let me to continue doing the libraries during the summer and during or even back when he came back in the fall, that I could just continue doing the library stuff instead of just doing another job. And then the fact that it was another job there that I took, and that they taught me out of taking one of the classes that I really just wanted to take. It was a graphic design class, and they taught me out of that class, and just going into that one job, and then when I kind of told Mom about that, Mom just really got upset there because of the fact that she put a lot of that money there and put all this sort of stuff there, and then that was just one of the biggest rifts that happened with the adult transition. That they were just talking me out of a class there when I just simply wanted to take whatever classes, and then they should just simply help me with it and not talk me out of certain things and all that sort of stuff. So anyways, I guess that's partly it because, I don't know, it's already past like the 15-minute mark, so I'll see you guys later. Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, I'm doing my afternoon walk. So, anyways, can't believe it's already May again, and anyway, I always try to say that about, like, certain months, like, I always say, like, I can't believe it's such and such again, because sometimes it just seems to be a little bit strange to me that now it's kind of like May already again, and here it was like, maybe like, it seemed like yesterday it was just February or January, and now it's May, but it's really strange how things are going by after like a couple of months, as far as that goes, but I had mentioned a while ago on my last journal, as far as on the video blog about Brad, I didn't really mention him around the time I started doing like the whole video blogs in 07, 08, and maybe a little bit more like in 07. Maybe it was like 08. Yeah, it was 08 was when I was started seeing Brad as kind of a rebound guy. Actually, in a way, I think we were basically both each other's rebounds, because he kind of said somewhere that he was trying to get over some stupid little chaser that he thought he really liked, and that sort of stuff, and then I was already like getting over Ricky, as far as that goes. I mean, the whole breakup with him was, I think I knew it was coming in some ways, but it just seemed really strange how it just happened all of a sudden, like that. And I knew that maybe it just wasn't really working out there. I mean, but I think I had my reasons. I think one of the biggest reason why it didn't seem to work that well was, I think I should say several reasons. I think one reason it was just, I think for one it was Dad. As I kind of said before, it was just that Dad never really thought that I would actually want to have this sort of thing there. Whether it was with guys or girls or both, But I think the way he was slicing, regardless of whatever little things that were going on, that Dad would have been this sort of way. And it was mainly because he just wasn't really emotionally ready to let me go and be happy with a girl or a guy or whatever, or both, as far as that goes. But I think that was just what was going on in there. And I think that was pretty much the whole reason with, like, with Eloy there about a few years ago with Mom. That they never assumed that sort of thing, and
and because of the whole Asperger's, or maybe it was just simply the fact that I was just too shy or whatever it was, and they assumed that maybe I probably wouldn't have any interest in something like that, or whatever the case may be there. And yet, it probably puts it all to a shock to them. But now, okay. I think it was another reason. I think it was just Matt there. But I think I had a hard time letting go of Matt because I had a hard time trying to admit to the guilt. At least directly to him at this point now, but I think maybe he had all along forgotten about me at that point, but I think I kind of realized the whole reason why I just didn't want to admit to those guilt there was because I was just simply more or less focused on just wanting to get with Ricky at the time, but at the same time, I just did want to admit to those guilt feelings, whole saving face as far as that goes. I think that was just what it is. I mean, having to save face, I think that might have been the whole reasoning there. And it might have been the whole thing there with all of it there, that it was just me saving face, But rather than just simply accepting the whole blame and responsibility for my own actions there, but a lot of times people kept going around lecturing me about how I have to go around and be accountable for my own actions and stuff, and yet at the same time they don't do the same. It was just one of those little things that I think I probably might have scolded Dad for one of that if he just simply backed off about Ricky, that it wasn't going to really last forever as far as anything. It probably would have lasted for whatever amount of time it would have been, and then I would have gone my separate ways with Ricky, and we would remain friends, and at some point, and like that. I guess I had to admit that was just how things were going. But I kind of admit, as far as with Matt, that the other reason that it was hard for me to let go of all of that guilt was, I think in some ways that maybe it just felt like maybe I just didn't feel guilty in the right way of that, Because I think, as I could recall so many times, as far as the thing with Matt, that he came on way too strong for me, and that when I felt guilty enough to actually try to see, or at least just to give him the benefit of the doubt, and all that. And then all I could really see was the fact that he just wanted to sleep with me. And that was basically the main reason why I broke it off with him there. That if he just wanted to sleep with me there, he could have just simply said that since day one. That there was no need for him to go around and say that he was in love with me and all this sort of stuff there. If he just wanted to sleep with me and then call it a day. Just like that, you know. Hey, but if that, the other reason there, if he was really interested in some form of a relationship with me, if he just accepted that sort of thing early on, that I was interested in somebody else, or that I just wasn't interested there with him, that maybe he would have had a chance with me somewhere down the line, you know, but because of the fact that he wasn't honest enough to say what he wanted in the beginning, that was basically that was the whole reason why I blew him off at that point. You know. And then I think the third thing was, the second or third thing that might also be added on to that there. It wasn't really about just Ricky there, but there's all these other guys that would also be interested too. But, and then not only that, it was the whole thing with that bigger city. A bigger city that what's his name? Yeah, it's the whole thing with bigger city where I found him on there, wanted to add him as a friend, you know, and he never did. Even before, or at least to my memory there, you know, that it was before I blew him off, I think, that he didn't add me. Because I don't really remember trying to add him after it. But I think it might have been before that he didn't add me on as a friend there. So I guess what does that kind of tell me there, that maybe he didn't really want to be just friends with me, and that he just wanted to sleep with me. And that if he just simply said that since day one, you know, then it wouldn't have to do that sort of thing there in the first place. But I guess that's just how the way things go, you know. It's sort of strange. You know, I should be like over all of that, you know, but I think in time it usually tends to disappear, you know. So, anyways, until next time. Hey people, it's me again. So, anyways, yesterday I had like some dinner work done, you know, and now maybe about a couple of hours from now I'm probably going to be going down to San Diego again to finish up packing mom's stuff there. And I think probably by Sunday, I think we'll probably have all of mom's stuff back in here in the house. And to me, I kind of feel a little bit sad that all this sort of, now that we had to pack up all this sort of stuff at San Diego there. And I guess in a way, I think might have been one of the reasons why I had a hard time getting that sort of thing off the ground as far as with Ricky back in 06, especially before Mom got back, you know, and I think it just all had to do with the whole thing with Josh and Eloy, that I was afraid of just having like Mom and Dad doing the same thing here, you know, as she did before, you know, with Josh and Eloy, you know. And then in a way, the same thing had happened there with Dad, with Ricky, you know, that he did the very same thing, get in my way, and all that.
So, I mean, what was the whole point of all of that there? But then, I guess I kind of realized, of course, I know that they were looking out for me and all that sort of stuff, but sometimes it could be a bit too much. And I think that was just the whole problem with not just mom and dad, but I think certain people in general, and especially if I had gone around and told them about the Asperger's and all that sort of stuff, that they would be like looking out for me in some cases, but in some ways it would be a bit too much for them, or it would be a bit too much for me in some cases. I think that was just really what happened here so many times. As far as with like the adult transition back around in 01 and 02 and all that sort of stuff, or at least around in 2000 and all the way to that part of the end of high school now. I think I didn't face that kind of problem there when I was going to those classes at Northlake and Irving, and because it was because they weren't really that much in my way, but although if I needed extra help, then I probably needed more, and then they could come and help me at some point or another. But other times, I think I had to usually do it on my own in some cases, but I think I did need some help in some of my classes there, and other times there are some classes that I just didn't need their help that much. And that I think at the time when I was younger, I just didn't know how to tell them in the right way, that in order for them to step back a little bit, in order for them to come to my aid as far as that goes. I think that's just where I went wrong with all that. And I'm getting a little bit of a brain fart. Oh, now I remember. I think it was with adult, not with adult transition, but it was mainly the whole thing with Northlake there. That, of course, I did have some help there, but I think the only thing that really went in the way of my studies there was just something that wasn't really in my control, was the whole keratoconus and the glaucoma there. But as I kind of said before, it's been almost, I think it was almost like 8 years since I had like keratoconus on both eyes, and I had to go around and explain to people about the whole keratoconus, or Casey for short, about it. That my aunt had it, and one of my cousins has it, and that the whole cornea itself becomes thin, and is thinned out a little bit, and that it becomes cone shaped, and it makes it hard for someone to see. And although there's like some corrective eye drops, but there's also the whole corrective lenses where you could put a regular contact lens and then some glass permeable lenses. But there are other people that would opt just simply for the glass permeable lenses without the regular contacts, and there's also corrective laser surgery, as well as corneal transplants for people who have the severe form of keratoconus. And I'm not sure about as far as with glaucoma, but I think with the glaucoma, there was usually the regular eye drops there, but there's also like the laser surgery. But I guess that was just one of the things that just pretty much got in the way of all that, all the studies there. And I think about the time when I got back here in '06, I think I did try to take another class about the whatchamacallit, the video editing class, that somehow my vision got so bad that I was like leaning really close to the screen, that I couldn't read the screen that well. Although, I think I probably should have asked the instructor how do I change the whole size of the screen so I can read it better, because of the whole keratoconus and the glaucoma there, Although I was able to request that sort of thing happening like last year when I was at the computer lab doing part of my classes there. But I think in some ways that the whole thing was like a little bit too hard for me to do as far as the whole classes. And that was just simply because it was a summer class, and a lot of problems with the summer classes is that it tends to be condensed, pretty much because they usually have like 2 sessions as far as that goes. So they usually have one class starting around this time up until June, and then have another class from June to maybe like the start of July, and then they would have this sort of 3 to 6 week break between before they actually start the whole fall class in a regular academic year then. And I think it was like the same way as far as with Northlake, that I did do like a summer class as far as like the first, I think it was like the first week and a half. I think, yeah, it was like the first week it was like the first week of June was when they did it. But it was like every day. It was like every day at the same time. And then usually it was basically for about like almost like 4 or 5 months. 4 or 5 weeks. And then there's like another session for like classes, and then in a way it was one of those task classes. So anyways, I had to go around and explain to people about the whole task. That for anybody that was going to school in Texas at that time, if you were going to a 2-year school, you had to take a task class, and which had to be a reading class or a writing class or a math class, unless if you had already taken your SATs or passed certain things like that. But I think as of now, it's pretty much been completely phased out because there's really no need for like the task class as far as that goes. Especially there are some people that are going to be taking some sort of classes and stuff, whether if it was like for me like the graphic design or video editing or whatever it is, and that there's basically no need for me to like take some sort of reading class or a writing class or a math class, when I'm basically doing something entirely different. So that was kind of the whole reason why they basically phased it all out completely. At least I think so by now, because it wasn't until probably the spring of '04 that semester when they made the whole task be completely optional. And that you can basically could drop the class without having to drop all the other classes entirely. And as I was kind of saying about all of like the task classes, that that I had one good teacher there as far as for the reading class, but then I had a really bad teacher for the writing class, and that caused a whole lot of problems during like the first 2 weeks of school that year. And then I think it was until after I dropped that class, and then after that was when I went to that whole club rush, and that is how I basically met Josh. And then like the first meeting of Glade, the gay and lesbian club over there, that's how I met Elon. And as I kind of said before with all that, it's just that Mom was just being a little bit overprotective with me and all that, but that way, I just think that she was just being a little bit ridiculous because, she thinks I'm a bit naive about everything, and that she kind of confuses me with my other brother, but even though the fact that we both have some form of a disability doesn't necessarily mean we should be treated the same way, and then the fact that both me and my brother have completely different personalities altogether. And then the fact that it was just that not just one of my brothers, but the other brother as well, that all three of us have completely different personalities, and that I just get annoyed with Mom and Dad kind of lumping me with my brothers, as far as that goes. But I think I've gotten a little bit used to that in some cases, but as I kind of said earlier about it, that I get really annoyed with people lumping me with all the other kids that had disabilities, but they were a little bit more severe, when mine is not really that severe in some cases, But I don't know if I was ever been able to get used to that. And to this day, I think I can never really get used to people lumping it all together like that. And it was just like the same thing now. I mean, I think at this point with Asperger's and all that I think people are starting to stop treating it as some sort of ailment or whatever it is, and that they're basically treating it as more of a difference, more of a different thing. I mean, it's just like how it is with all the other stuff. It's always that we begin to believe when something is different, there's always something that is wrong. Or when someone is completely different, whatever, there's always something wrong with them. And then after that, we kind of realize there's just nothing really wrong with them. It's just that the fact that they're just being completely different from all of that. And I think that was just basically what is coming around at this point, that now it's just people are starting to see that there's more to it than just that. So, anyways, talk to you guys later.